So we'll start with the 9th verse today. Okay. So till now, what we have seen is Arjun is doubtful because he heard Krishna speak about, that, hey, he's getting equivocal instructions. In the middle of the second chapter, he says, Sukha Dukha, Sama Kritva, Labha Lava, Jaya Jaya. Get up, determination, fight. But then a few verses later, Krishna says, Durena hi avaram karma. Stay away from abominable activities. So that's confusing for Krishna, Arjun. That's why he's asking that question. That hey, what do you want me to do? You're telling me to be intelligent, but then also ask me to fight. So that's what confusing him. So that's the first section. Okay? So right now, what Arjun is doing, he's just speculating. He's thinking in his mind, oh, can I do this? Can I do that? So there's a lot of knowledge and intellect being used there by Arjun, right? But here, Krishna is highlighting in the first 9 verses, what Krishna highlighted, 8 verses, is that, hey, no, don't try to give up work just by mere mental speculation while your senses are not in control yet. At least do your duty and try to control your senses. That's a much better place to be in. That's what Krishna told Arjun. So that was up to this eight verses, or even I think the 9th verse also falls in the same section. But let's go through that. And so, oh no, just let me see this. Give me a second. Where's that? Oh, you cannot see my slides. I'm looking at my slides. I'm not sharing. Let me go on full screen. Share it. Okay, so last week, I think we left here, right? So we realized the three different energies, Brahman, not in three different forms, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, one thing I just want to quickly share with you, and I think I might have a slide for it. Okay. How do the first 6 verses, 6 chapters connect with each other? Because you will notice that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th chapter, they are karma. You'll see that. And you might think that, oh, they look similar. So it's karma yoga is what Krishna is talking about there, right? So just one second, sorry, I'm looking for something. Okay, so yes, so three chapters. So first chapter is about Arjun, being in emotional paralysis. Okay, Arjun knows what is right, but it cannot be done because attachment overwhelms intelligence, right? So, but then Krishna is not correcting Arjun right away. He waits for Arjun to surrender, right? That's what happens in the when between the transfer of the first and second chapter, right? And then next comes the second chapter, which is the foundation. It's called the summary of the Bhagavad Gita. Here, Krishna is talking about jnana, karma, bhakti, all of them in this chapter. He's giving a map of the whole Bhagavad Gita, right? So that's the second chapter, right? He establishes you're not a body, the soul is eternal, you have to do your duty, right? And then comes then he moves to chapter 3, right? So now Arjun knows who he is, then Krishna is going to explain him how to act. That's important, right? It's not just, okay, who am I, but how do I live that behavior? That's where the 3rd chapter comes in, right? So this 3rd chapter, now Krishna is making very clear that inaction is impossible. That's what Arjun is asking. He's trying to say, no, I don't want to act, right? So, but then Krishna is explaining to him that the problem is not work. The problem is self-centered work. When work is offered to Krishna, it purifies instead of binding. Right? That's where the 3rd chapter comes in. But then, how can action not bind? So Krishna now explains the divine knowledge where the 4th chapter comes, which is transcendental knowledge. And he's giving the details about karma yoga. Oh, where does karma yoga come? Karma yoga is not invented. It comes from Krishna himself through parampara. If you have the knowledge, it burns your reactions to work, but it's not just dry and academic knowledge. Krishna emphasizes humility, service, surrender. That's how he's going to bring the fourth chapter out. And then in the fifth chapter, Krishna clarifies Arjun's initial question that he started with, right? Action versus enunciation. However, the difference between third and fifth chapter is that the third chapter is about practice of karma yoga. How do we do it? The fifth chapter will talk more about perfection of karma yoga. There's that famous verse that comes in the fifth chapter. Vidyavinay sampanne brahmane gavi hastini sunichai vasupakecha pandita samadarshina. So samadarsha. So that's how a karma yogi perfects. How does he look like or she looks like? That's chapter 5. And then beyond chapter 5, Krishna is going to go into dhyana yoga, which is meditation. And because he's saying that, okay, yes, now he's going to teach him mind control. That's just one chapter. However, the whole Bhagavad Gita is not about jnana, dhyana, karma. No, it's not about that. The whole Bhagavad Gita is about, he always brings it back to bhakti. Krishna always brings back everything to bhakti, right? So if you look at these verses, I have these verses there, right? So you can look at these verses, second chapter, third chapter, fourth, fifth, sixth, all of those chapters, Krishna will bring himself as the supreme and he'll tell Arjun, connect everything to me, connect everything to me. Bhakti is the main thread running through across Bhagavad Gita. There is nothing else in Bhagavad Gita except bhakti. However, Krishna has to take detour because not everybody is ready to accept it as bhakti. There are people in different levels. So that is why Krishna is taking through all these paths, so that people realize, okay, fine, I am a jnana yogi. I like to speculate, introspect, whatnot, but my goal is bhakti. So I'll keep doing what I'm doing with that bigger goal in mind, and when I'm ready, I'll come to that level also. Krishna will eventually give it from within. I have to do whatever I'm doing with sincerity and with that understanding that eventually bhakti is the goal. So just keep this in mind. I just wanted to walk you through this 6 chapters because whenever I think of the first 6 chapters, sometimes it confuses me because, hey, Krishna, why is Krishna speaking about karma yoga in 3 chapters? How are they different? So I just wanted to highlight this for all of you so that it's clear to you all before we jump into the third chapter in more detail. Hopefully this was clear. Anything, anybody's mind, any comments, questions, thoughts before I move forward? No? Okay, that's good. If it's all clear to you.
Prabhuji, but in Gita, Krishna did not actually disregard people of Gyan Yoga, right? He just said it's hard, correct? Bhakti is a better option. He didn't say like, okay, whoever is in the Gyan Yoga is not right, right? I think somewhere in the
He says that about impersonalists, not about Jnana yogis.
okay, because I thought there was some shlok, right? It said that Gyan Yoga is harder than the Bhakti Yoga. Did he mean impersonalist, or he meant like people who are in the Gyan Yoga and just trying to do, speculative?
Impersonalists. So who say
Impersonalist.
that Bhagavan does not have a form. Those people. Right?
Okay, okay.
That was 12th chapter. That comes in the 12th chapter, 5th verse. Krishna says that it's hard. It's very hard for the deha vadbhir avapyate. Deha, people who have this embody, who have this body. It's very hard in personalism. So we should not follow that.
Okay, okay. I thought it was for Gyan. Okay.
Yeah.
Prabhuji,
Krishna,
the impersonalists, aren't they Gyan Yogi?
well, you can call them Jnana Yogi also. Some of them can be Jnana Yogi, but then impersonalists can also be people. So, like Prabhupada, if you'll see throughout Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada really criticizes some impersonalists. He gets very angry on them. He's talking about those people who bring Krishna also down on a material platform. This we'll talk about in the 7th and 9th chapter. How the impersonalists who know that Krishna is Bhagavan, Krishna is speaking this in Bhagavad Gita, aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate, that I am the supreme, there's nobody beyond me. But they bring Krishna also on the material platform. They say, no, Even when Bhagwan comes in the material world, he also takes a material form. So Krishna is not the supreme. He's just a material form. So those people are actually denounced. So they're culprits of Krishna. Krishna says this. They are demoniac people. So they are not necessarily even jnana yogis. They're just pure demoniac. Because, like for example, Duryodhan, right? Krishna was standing right in front of him, but he could not understand Krishna as Bhagwan. His mind was so in like just colored with his desire to rule the kingdom that he didn't even see Bhagwan, Krishna as Bhagwan, even though everybody told him that Krishna is Bhagwan, Krishna is supreme. To use, see, he did this, he did that, but he didn't accept it. So those people are actually very demoniac. But you can say Jnana Yogi to those people who are genuinely just innocent. They don't know about Bhagwan. Nobody has yet come and explained it to them, or they haven't had that realization. So that other aspect can be considered as Jnana Yogi also. Does that make sense?
So, Prabhuji, when Krishna said like both Jnana yogis and the Bhakti yogis come to me, he means like he's talking about not impersonalists, right? But people who are actually just ignorant, just like you said, right? They don't know
Yes,
that.
they're just innocent ignorance, you can say. They just don't know. Nobody has come and told them about it, or their path has been such that they have been just focusing on the supreme in an impersonal form, and just been enjoying that. So yeah, that's the difference. Yes.
Okay. Because Prabhuji, one thing I read somewhere else, maybe I think is like that even like impersonalists have a lot to gain from Gita. Is that not correct? Because they can find their own, own destination, and eventually they come to Krishna also when they goes through many lifetimes. So
Krishna,
is it?
everybody has to come to Krishna. Everybody has to come to Krishna. This lifetime, billions of lifetimes later, there is nothing else except Krishna. Yes, we can take detours as much as we want to, go into the hellish planets, become a demoniac person, go up into the heavenly, become demigods, enjoy, but eventually the final destination is Krishna. And anybody who reads Bhagavad Gita, they can interpret it according to themselves. Yeah, that's because you know that's the way we are, right? We are conditioned that way. That whatever I like, I'll pick up from what I'm hearing or reading. That's the way we all do it. So yeah, maybe personalists might also find something for themselves in Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So now let's come to the next section, or let's go to 3.9. That's what we were doing, right? 3.9. Okay. So in 3.9, Krishna is saying, now, so he's been talking about karma, right? So he's asking him to perform his prescribed duties. So now, how do we do that prescribed duties? From 3.9 onwards, Krishna will say, work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, a son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. In that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So here now uh, Krishna is now bringing the concept of Vishnu in here. So that's something to keep in mind that till now he has not brought that out yet. Right? So he's giving a spiritual secret, right? That do your duty in 3.8, 3.9, do your duty. But here he's saying do your duty for me, not for yourself. This transforms ordinary work into sacred work. So yajna, here the word Vishnu is yagyarthat. Yagyarthat. So here Prabhupada is translating the word yagyarthat to Vishnu. Okay? So yajna does not just mean fire sacrifice. So yajna is not limited to rituals. Yajna means for the pleasure of Vishnu or Krishna. Any work done as an offering to Krishna or Vishnu becomes yajna. That's something to keep in mind. And the difference is now that when you work in that yajna mindset, it liberates you. Right? But if we do it in an egoistic way, then we get bound to our work. Right? Two people may do the exact same job, but externally identical, but internally one may be ego-centered. Money, fame, validation, security, whatever. The other one might be Krishna-centered. works as service, offers everything to Krishna. Right? So that would be so same action, different consciousness, opposite spiritual results. Right? So now somebody can ask this that, okay, why does non-devotional work lead to bondage? Well, non-devotional work leads to bondage because ego wants control. Our ego wants ownership of everything, right? And when that ownership desire comes, our karma gets added on, and then we have to come back, fulfill that karma. There'll be reactions, there'll be next birth, so we get entangled in the cycle of birth. So when I work for myself, then I also suffer the karmic consequences. But when I work for Krishna, he takes away all those reactions. Right? That's the difference. And what does it lead to? Mukta Sangha, the mindset of freedom. Krishna says, act without attachment. But this doesn't mean emotionless. What it means, do not claim ownership. Do not be hungry for praise. Do not fear criticism. Do not be dependent on outcomes. Those kind of things. Right? So Arjun's real question was, how do I act in this world without being entangled? And answer Krishna is saying, act for Krishna, yajna, and you will be free. Right? And if you act for yourself, you will be bound. Right? So this is the starting point of true devotion in action. Right? So, yeah. So concept of giving, Krishna is introducing that. And if I have to flourish, I have to give. We don't enjoy by exploitation, but we enjoy by sacrificing. Right? I don't know if I've given you this example before, but all top billionaires in the United States, they do charity. So simple reason they give is that the principle of wealth is such that when wealth is given away, more comes back as a fruit. Right? So the more you keep it to yourself, the more it becomes a source of misery. Right? In the year of COVID, nearly $500 billion worth of charity was given. And out of that, nearly 40% of that was the top 25 billionaires who did it. So if you're acting on behalf of Krishna, you get Mukta Sangasya. Just like a prime minister of the country. Sometimes the prime minister breaks law, like traffic. But he's doing job for a very high purpose. Right? So then it's no problem. He doesn't get any reaction. Prabhupada gives many examples about the where is that? Does he give it here? No, but Prabhupada gives many examples, like a cashier in the bank. So much money comes through the cashier, but then he doesn't take a dollar. So because he knows that it does not belong to him. Right? So here Krishna is talking of the principle. What I could have taken for my pleasure, I offer to the Lord. The principle is sacrifice. So that is why when you do a fire sacrifice, right, it all goes to eventually to Vishnu through Agni. So yeah, that's the concept of yajna that is Krishna is bringing out. Yes, Deepti.
So the translation where it's written that work done for Vishnu, um, does Prabhupada say that work done for Vishnu, or because Krishna is speaking here, why is he not referring to himself that work done for me? Why distinguishing Vishnu and Krishna here?
So you're saying why didn't Krishna not bring himself into the picture?
Yeah, because later on in the chapters he does say that I am the taste of water, I am this, I'm that, I'm Bhagwan, I'm like supreme. But why he is not saying that here? That work done for me.
Okay. The short answer, Krishna is teaching karma yoga to a conditioned soul here. He is not yet revealing his personal supremacy here. Okay. Arjun is still struggling with duty. He's still attached to his results. He's not yet fully understood what devotion is. So Krishna is teaching karma yoga. He's not teaching pure bhakti here, right? So for karma yoga, the concept of Vishnu as Yagya Purusha, or the one who's accepting all the results, is already accepted in the Vedic culture. All the Vedas have this concept already, right? So it does not, and then it does not demand you to immediately surrender. Right? So if Krishna would have said, "Oh, work only for me," Arjuna may not yet have been able to emotionally, or philosophically, been able to digest that level of surrender. Right? Just imagine somebody walks into the temple for the first time and you just tell him, surrender everything to Krishna. That person will get boggled. He'll say, what do you mean surrender everything to Krishna? I have a family to take care of. I have my mortgage to pay. I just bought a wonderful car. Because he or she does not fully understand the concept of service and devotion to Krishna. So Vishnu, in the Vedas, Vishnu is the regulating concept for karma yoga. That how do you regulate your karma? Offer to Vishnu. Right? So that's the thing to understand. So it's just a training, not yet revealing Krishna. Krishna is not revealing himself yet. He's still training him. Right?
I see.
That's the way
Got
to
it.
understand.
Thank you.
But one thing to keep in mind is that if Krishna is bringing Vishnu, it doesn't mean he's excluding himself. Prabhupada has explained this repeatedly in many of his places. Krishna is the source of Vishnu. Vishnu is his plenary expansion. Right? So Krishna is training responsibility. He's not yet come to a level of intimacy. So that's the way to understand. But don't just separate Krishna and Vishnu out of the picture. Like, for example, I just told you, right? Offer everything to Krishna or Vishnu. I use both those terms. So keep that in mind. Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. A little
Hare
while
Krishna.
ago, you had mentioned about if you're acting on behalf of the country, and you said something else, but I think I missed it. Can you repeat that again?
Yes. So the example I was giving, or not me, Prabhupada gives, when you are working for your country, then a soldier on the border can go and kill many people. And he comes back and he's honored for that. Purple Heart. In this country, people get Purple Heart, military people. But when he's back home, and if he kills one person, he will be hanged to death for that. Because in the border, he's fighting for a higher purpose. He's not doing it out of his own choice. Higher purpose. Somebody told him. The Prime Minister told the Minister of Defense, and the Minister told his army guys, generals, and whatnot, and they passed on. So he's doing something for a higher purpose. But when he's doing it at home, if he kills somebody, he's doing it for himself. And that's the difference there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's come to the 10th verse. In the beginning of creation, the Lord of all creatures sent forth generations of men and demigods, along with sacrifices for Vishnu, and blessed them by saying, "Be thou happy by this yagya," sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation. Right? So, something to understand is that in the beginning of the creation, the Lord has created mankind. Okay? And along with that, he has created sacrifices. Right? And he's saying, okay, you be happy with this yagya because it will fulfill all your desires. So Krishna is not creating us just for struggle alone. Okay? He created so that whatever desires we have, we could fulfill them, purify them, and eventually come back to him. But what is required is cooperation. So this whole creation is meant for cooperation, not for exploitation, the way people are looking at it. It's for exploitation. People are exploiting resources. And so it's not for exploitation, it's for cooperation. So Krishna is saying, yes, I created you all. You all wanted to enjoy. I created this world for you. But I was so conscious of that, hey, I want you all back to me. I also created this concept of yagya, so that you can do yagya, it will purify you, your desires will go away, and then you will come to me. Right? So when life is surrendered around offering, needs are naturally met. So today's problem is, how do I get more? But Krishna's solution is offer it to me. Your desire for getting more will subside. So that's the way to understand it. So Prabhupada is saying that material creation by the Lord of creatures is a chance offered to the conditioned souls to come back home, back to Godhead. So we all are forgetful of our relationship with Krishna. That's the whole problem. Right? So we are forgetful of our relationship, and because of that forgetfulness, we are thinking that, hey, I'm here to enjoy. Yes, Sandeep Prabhu.
Prabhuji, is performing yagna same as bhakti? Because I think these are two different terms, right? Uh, from this, at least from this shloka perspective, it seems like, when Krishna sent people to earth, right? They said, okay, you do your work and do whatever, and then also meanwhile do these spiritual things, which is yagya, and then there'll be some kind of balance. But that's not like a guarantee to reach Krishna. Krishna is only reachable by bhakti, which is outside of like your regular yagya. So I guess
Okay.
I'm really, yeah.
So yes, no, the performing yajna is not the same as bhakti. But bhakti is the perfection of all the yajnas. Okay, so let's look at what is yajna. Yajna means acting as an offering, giving up the mentality of being an enjoyer, recognizing a higher authority. So what this yajna trains a person to be is to be grateful, to be responsible, to cooperate and not exploit. That's why Krishna is saying in this verse that, oh, in the last verse, that it frees you from bondage. However, yajna can also be performed for material benefits, for heavenly results, for higher social order, with an obligation. So then the yajna is not equal to bhakti. So again, it comes down to our intention, in what way we are doing that yajna, right? So yajna performer may say, oh, my father told me that your next year is not good. Some shani is coming in, or some heavenly body is going to come and interfere with your life. So do a yajna. So you just go and sit there in front of the fire sacrifice. Oh, my dad told me to do it. I'm just going to do it. That's not going to take you to bhakti. However, if you go with the motive, as Krishna is telling in this verse, that is going to eventually purify you, right? So Yajna is a part of Karma Yoga. It helps a conditioned soul move from exploitation to contribution. But then Bhakti Yoga will take that person from contribution to a loving surrender. So Yajna is preparing that person. Bhakti is the final goal. However, Bhakti automatically includes Yajna. Keep that in mind. Did that make sense, bro?
Yeah. So if somebody is in bhakti, they don't need to do any yagya, right? In that case, correct?
No, we don't need to do any yajna. However, you will notice that Prabhupada did many yajnas. He did a lot of ceremonies for his disciples to marry them, and whenever there is a initiation ceremony, there is a fire sacrifice also. So we don't outrightly reject it also. Oh, I'm a devotee, everything else is nonsense. No, we want to use everything that we can to improve our bhakti. So even when we do yajna, when we do that fire sacrifice, we are strengthening our bhakti by that route. Then there is no problem in doing it. That
Makes sense. Makes
makes
sense.
sense, right, bro? Okay.
Yep.
Hello, Prabhuji. What is fire sacrifice?
What is fire sacrifice?
Is
What do
it
you-
just what does fire sacrifice mean?
So fire sacrifice, you might have seen, right? That they
Or
uh,
the typical the fire that you light and you put all the
yes, that's the it. It's lighting a sacred fire, right? If you have seen a yajna, a fire sacrifice, one priest will sit down, he'll chant a lot of mantras, we'll be offering a lot of items, ghee, there'll be grains,
yeah.
herbs, and whatnot. So, and all the offerings will be placed in fire. So that's what I mean by fire sacrifice.
Okay, I know what that is. I just wanted to know if it meant something here else in this verse.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So yes, so we just read this one, the 10th one, where Krishna is explaining that, yes, I created the concept of karma, but then I'm not just leaving you outright, like just leaving you out there in the blue. I want you to do karma in a way that this karma yoga can eventually take you to bhakti yoga. And that's the whole process that Krishna is explaining in this verses. Right. So, and then Prabhupada ends with this is a good verse coming from the 11th canto. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam Yagya Sankirtana prayer yajanti hi subedasha. In the age of Kali, people who are endowed with sufficient intelligence will worship the Lord, who is accompanied by his associates by performance of Sankirtan Yagya. In Kali Yuga, other yagyas prescribed in the Vedic literature are not easy to perform in the age of Kali. But the Sankirtan Yagya is easy and sublime for all purposes. So, for Kali Yuga, the Yagya is Sankirtan, chanting. You can, when devotees go out on the street and they chant, they are doing that kirtan. That is the Yagya for this Kali Yuga. Prabhupada is clarifying that for us. Then, when we do that cooperation, the demigods become pleased by sacrifices. They will also please you, and thus, by cooperation between men and demigods, prosperity will reign. This is the 11th verse. Prosperity will reign. Right? So, now what Krishna is saying here, that there is some mutual nourishment happening. Okay? Demigod, they will be pleased by our sacrifice, and they will give us what we need. This universe works on exchange, as I said, not on exploitation. Right? So this teaches us. So when we follow these verses as being told to us by Krishna, it teaches us respect for nature, for food, for water, for air and resources. So that's the purpose here. So, and Krishna has started to bring out the concept of demigods here, and he'll expand upon it in the later verses also. Right? And Prabhupada is telling us, who are the demigods? They are empowered administrations of material affairs. They are living entities like us, but they have been empowered to take care of different material affairs. They are not immortals. Demigods also change. Brahma, he lives for 100 years. Well, not 100 years. Well, something like 311 trillion years. He lives for that long. During that time, many demigods come and go. There are, I think, 14 cycles he goes through, 14 manvantras. There's a whole chart that we can go through. But yes, but they all have to die. All the demigods have to leave. So, but then Krishna is teaching us about the cooperation aspect. That when we offer them to demigods, they become pleased, and then they will give us what we are looking for: rain, water, heat, cold, whatever it is. Without yagya, as now Krishna will tell in the next verse, without yagya, we are a thief. And here Prabhupada is giving this very good step by step, that by performance of yagya, one's eatables become sanctified. And by eating sanctified foodstuff, one's very existence becomes purified. By the purification of the existence, finer tissues in the memory become sanctified. And when memory is sanctified, one can think of the path of liberation. And all these combined together lead to Krishna consciousness, the great necessity of present day society. So when we have that concept of cooperation, when we are offering our food to Krishna, to saying, Krishna, please accept this. Then when we eat sanctified, we get purified. And when that purification keeps happening, then our intelligence becomes purified, sanctified, as Prabhupada is saying. And then we can think of liberation. This is right for me. This is not right for me. And then when we come to the level of bhakti. Okay, that's 11. 12. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yagya, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Right? So this is the danger of entitlement. Somebody who's enjoying for themselves without offering them back are thieves. Enjoyment without gratitude leads to inner emptiness. It just makes us empty. You can enjoy as much as you want, but if there's no concept of gratitude, it will always be empty. So Krishna is not accusing here, he's warning us here. Right? When we think, I earned this, I deserve this, I lose humility and peace. But if we think, oh, everything I have is Krishna's mercy, makes us humble and peaceful. Yes, Atiyal Veli Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. So if we're offering to Krishna, but we're not offering to, I mean, since I've joined Krishna consciousness, always offering to Krishna, not really offering to the demigod. So how does offering to demigod like look bad?
I'm not sure. Are you saying you're saying that
So we're
here?
offering everything to Krishna, right? In
Mhm.
So we're leaving demigod and we're not offering to demigod. So, I mean, is that okay? I mean, of course it's okay, right? Because Krishna is, above the demigods.
Oh yes, yes, right. What's that verse I'm thinking of? It's when you offer to the roots, everything, all the things get nourished. So Krishna is the root here.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to
But
remember the verse. What's that verse?
he's saying here that we should offer, give everything that we get to the demigods. We should offer it to them. He's telling us here that we should offer it to them.
Yeah. So offering to
Is that
demigods is
offering? Sorry.
offering to demigods is offering to Krishna, because the demigods are not independent enjoyers. They are servants and administrators of Krishna. Okay. So what is this verse saying? 3:12 is saying, by performing yajna, the demigods supply those necessities. And one who enjoys without offering is a thief. Krishna is not teaching that demigod worship is the goal. He is just teaching us how the universe functions under a divine management. The key principle to understand is demigods are not independent. Demigods are authorized officers. That's why Prabhupada is highlighting in the purport. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? They are not by themselves. They manage universal departments. Indra is managing rain, Surya is managing sunlight, Chandra is managing vegetation, but they don't own anything. Everything ultimately belongs to Vishnu, Krishna. Just like paying taxes to the government office, ultimately it all goes to the head of the state, right? So why offering to demigods is indirectly offering to Krishna? Because Krishna is saying work must be done as a sacrifice for Vishnu. He told that in a couple of verses ago, right? Yagyarthat karmano anyatra. So when this verse is telling demigods, it assumes that yagya is already centered on Vishnu. Demigods are just receiving on behalf of Vishnu. The demigods are distribution agents. They are not the enjoyers. Okay? So one does not offer to demigods independent of Vishnu. In 7th chapter, verse 20 to 23, and then in the 9th chapter again, 23rd or 23rd, 24th, Krishna condemns demigod worship. Right? Ye api anya devta bhakta jajante shraddhanjata te avimame pa kaunteya jajante avidhi purvaka. There he condemns demigod worship. So here the offering is, so Krishna is teaching karma yoga here. Again, he's not teaching pure bhakti yet. Keep that in mind. I told that about in one of the earlier questions. So demigods are just receiving on the basis of Vishnu, on the behalf of Vishnu, who has been brought out in the earlier verses. So that's the way you have to connect these verses. Does that make sense? I know there were a couple of people speaking now. Vidya Mataji, did that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it does.
Okay. Atiyal Veli Mataji, how about you?
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. Because I always understood, right, that we should offer everything to Krishna, and because why go through the secondary when you can go straight to the primary, right?
See, that's what I was mentioning.
Mm.
We all are bhakta, we are devotees, bhakti yogis. Bhakti yogi is the topmost platform. However, there might be people, when they read the Bhagavad Gita, they are not on the level of bhakti, they're still karma yogis. They can pick up from here and say, okay, I understand, I have to offer everything to Vishnu, but I'm going through the demigods. I know I have this concept of demigod worship. There is a Vishnu, there is a Lakshmi, Saraswati, Ganesha, and all that. So I'll go with them. So, but then Krishna is not saying that only Vishnu, only demigods are supreme. So it's Bhagavad Gita has been spoken in a way that anybody at any platform can take up something from here and progress towards bhakti. But if you're already on bhakti, you don't have to take a step back and come to those other things.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Yes, there are two hands raised. I can't see which one. Please go ahead. Can I see who's raising? Sandeep Prabhu, yes, you're raising a hand. Please go ahead.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah. So probably like it does make sense that even outside of spirituality, right? If somebody gives you something, you have to give something in return. Otherwise you are a thief. So that completely makes sense, right? So in a way, like when we get something from Bhagwan, we are supposed to give him back. My only question is like this demigod concept, right? It's very unique to us, right? Hinduism. So, when it comes to like say other religions, right? Christianity or Islam or whatever Buddhism, when they don't have this concept of like demigods, right? So whom are they doing offering to? Because they're also using these resources, right? And just like us, but we can offer it to Krishna or even Ganesha or Indra for water, right?
Mhm.
But whom are they offering to? If let's say I'm Muslim, right? Whom am I offering to?
So
Is it
they
like I'm
they
committing a sin all the time, like by not doing any offering? Am I committing a sin?
so see they um, demigods, sorry, not demigods. Christians also offer it. They all when they eat, they say grace when they sit down to eat. So they are offering. Their concept of God is that there's God up in the heaven. They don't believe in a form God. God has a form, but they have a concept of a higher authority to whom they are offering. So they might not have a concept of demigods. They might not have a full concept who's Bhagwan, but they have a concept of higher authority, and that's whom they are offering to.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yes. They still
Because
they all of them offer.
because all the offerings go to Krishna, right? Through all of these demigods, but there is no
Mhm.
demigods for them, right? So if
Yes.
they're offering to someone, where are they? Like, how is it routed, right?
So
So
so they when they make an offer, they offering they always say, right, oh, God the Father. So they are looking at Bhagavan as their creator and sustainer, right? They are not offering to any demigods or to angels. So their intention is that I'm offering to the supreme God, and that's the intention is important. It doesn't mean that only the Hindus have that prerogative that only my offering is going to Krishna. No, even Christians can reach there.
okay. So in other words, like if you were to offer, let's say, if your gratitude for water to instead of offering to Indra, you can just offer to some heavenly Father, right? And then
Yeah,
it is basically okay.
yeah. So they recognize the supreme, that there is a supreme, but they don't have an understanding of the administrative hierarchy, which is explained in the Vedic culture.
Makes
So,
sense.
right. So, but that doesn't mean they're not sincere. They can also be sincere. So, but then because we have this understanding, we offer right to the source. Right? There is this verse, which is that verse. Yatha tarur mool nishechanena. Nipandi skando bhujopshaka. Fourth canto, 31st. Yes. I just wanted to show you this verse where we talked about. So this is a verse in the fourth canto. Yatha tarur mool nishechanena tripanti taskanda bhujopashaka prano paracharithindriyana tathaiva sarvahanam achyuteja. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and the limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of the Supreme Personality. Fourth canto, chapter 31, verse number 14, if somebody's keeping tracks. Okay, so let's get back
Thank
to
you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yes. So that's what we were talking about. So, and if you don't do that, Krishna is saying that person is a thief. So that person is a thief if he's not offering it back uh, to offering it in a source, in a sense of cooperation. He's not giving that back. Okay, so let's see what's the next verse. Are all of you reading purports? Just want to be sure.
I just have a comment. Like
Yes, please.
like a prasad, I don't see them like a Christian Muslim offering, like they call it prasad, or I don't see them offering. So
Yeah, they don't have a proper process of offering, but when they sit down and they're saying grace, that's the concept. They are
right,
saying,
very quickly.
thank
Not
you,
right.
thank you for. So you have to keep in mind that the Vedic philosophy, the Sanatan Dharma, is like light years advanced than what all the others are offering us. I'm not saying a person practicing Christianity or Islam cannot go back home, back to God. They can. It's said in the first canto, second chapter, that the sixth verse. First. Anybody remembers? 1, 2, 6. Keshav, do you remember that verse?
6.
That bit. No, okay. I'll slipping out of my mind. It's a very famous verse. It's saying that what it says that the I got that. Savai pumsham paro dharmo yatho bhakti radhokshaje ahetuki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. That savai pumsha means human being. Savai means all human. Savai pumsham paro dharmo, the topmost religion. What is paro dharma? Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje, to have devotion towards adhokshaja. Adhokshaja is Krishna. Savai pumsham paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahetuki apratihata, unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. So they get the topmost result. So anybody who is doing unmotivated and uninterrupted devotion towards Bhagavan, they will attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they can be from other sections of the society, Christianity, Islam. So we are not denouncing them. However, for sure, they don't have a complete understanding. Bhagavad Gita giving us, our Vedic scriptures give us a very complete understanding of that spiritual knowledge. And we can talk about that in detail some other day, but just keep that in mind also.
Right.
Okay. I was asking everybody.
Thank you for explaining that, because a lot of times people ask this question, right? So I think it's good to know this answer.
Answer like what kind of question?
You just explained, right? The concept of demigods, the offering, why offering is needed. Why would you have so many demigods in Hinduism only, right? All of that. But I think the way you explained it makes a lot of sense. That it's just that these are name designations. Probably other religions also have this concept, but it's more like at a granular level, not at this detailed level, right? So I guess that's what.
Yeah. So and then it's a challenge, right? Because if you look at it, Christianity and Islam are history based. They follow a set of history. Jesus Christ came at this time. This is what he said. These were his apostles. This is what they said. They wrote down Matthew, Joseph. It's a collection of them. Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma is something anybody can achieve by that process that has been given to us. So we don't have to necessarily wait for history. Let's presume for a minute, if Krishna was not here and Bhagavad Gita was spoken by somebody else, we can still achieve Krishna by understanding the philosophy that's given in the Bhagavad Gita. We are not bound by history. Yes, history is beneficial for us, but we are not bound by that. We are based on principles. Those principles, which for millions of years people have practiced, have become self-realized, they've become gurus, they have taught to their disciples who can achieve the same results by following the path that the guru is showing them. So it's a disciplic succession, which is very, very unique for Sanatan Dharma, which is not present in the other parts of society.
Yeah, you're right, Prabhu. They always say grace and all that. Yes.
Yeah, they always say grace. And even if you read, if you see what the Muslims say, right? They say Allahu Akbar, that Allah is great, right? What is it that Allahu Rahman and Rahim, Rahman and Rahim. He's the most merciful. So they are appreciating whatever they're getting from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they don't have that complete understanding. But they do have it. They also can go back and back home, back to God. So there's no problem in that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
with Islam, it's even strict. Like without saying Bismillah, they don't do anything.
Yeah, that's so. So all paths have a process that have been told to them by self-realized souls. They are following it. But as Swami Vivekananda once said, it's very good to be born in a church, but very bad to die in one. If you're born in something and you just die with that same knowledge, you didn't make a lot of progress. So that is what's the beauty of the Sanatana Dharma. It's not restricting us. It's actually provoking us to ask questions. The whole Bhagavad Gita is a set of question and answers. The whole Bhagavatam is a set of question and answers. So that's the difference right there.
You got, I think, just one thing that just came to my mind really quick is that I heard like the difference between like a Sanatan Dharma and maybe like a lot of other paths is that Sanatan Dharma is it's not like believing, it's more like seeking, you know, you have to seek your own truth. Is that you agree with that definition, Proji? Not just believing, like you have to find your own ways and seek it through knowledge, you know.
Seeking.
Yeah, seeking, like
However, so no, I get your point. Seeking, yes, there is an ongoing seeking aspect. However, you have to understand one thing that our Shastras very clearly stress on. You cannot go on seeking without the help of a guru. That is very clear cut in all our Shastras. I can quote you, different Upanishads, Puranas, Bhagavatam, everywhere it's very clearly made explicit that ongoing seeking has to be there. That's one defining feature of Sanatana Dharma. However, that only happens in the presence of a guru, of a self-realized soul. Otherwise, we can go on seeking for so many things, but the seeking also has to be in that once, in some direction at least, right, which the guru can show us. Right. So, because as they say, right, Athato Brahmo Jigyasa. Jigyasa means seeking. The word Jigyasa. That's the most quintessential verse of the Vedanta Sutra. Athato Brahmo Jigyasa. Inquiry. Inquiry leads to progressive realization. Progressive realization leads to a deepening relationship with the truth. Right. But then it has to always have in the presence of Guru. Did that help, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Krishna himself says that. We'll read it in the 4th chapter. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnanina sattva darshina. Approach a guru, ask questions in a humble mood. The guru will give you answers because he knows the truth. He's jnani. So, okay. So let's do 13th. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal sense enjoyment verily eat only sin. Very clearly we are told here that purification happens through offering. Offering food to Krishna is daily purification. Eating is unavoidable. You have to eat. But offering the food to Krishna makes it spiritual. So prasadam, what is prasadam doing? It's cleaning karma. It's softening our heart. We are every day connecting with Krishna. So bhakti is not about stopping life. Bhakti is about sanctifying life. Okay. And now, in the earlier verses, when somebody reads the earlier verses, they might think, oh, I don't need demigod worship. I don't need anything in return from them. Right? I don't need any opulence. Right? So I won't perform any yajna. I'll go into the forest and live by begging. That's what probably Arjun could say. Right? I won't take anything from the demigods. Right? So I won't be sinful by not offering yajnas. Right? But then Krishna is replying that, no. Even in the forest, the food is nurtured by the rains coming from the demigod. Therefore, you cannot avoid this obligation. Right? So you'll still be doing sin by not bringing this concept of yajna into the picture. Right? So yes, the Prabhupada used to quote this verse a lot. Right? So prasadam is not just food offered to Krishna. It is food cooked with the desire to serve Krishna. That is why vegetarianism is important, because there is no violence to animals. But to understand is that even vegetarianism can be sin if you don't offer it to Krishna. Somebody, Prabhupada there was this person, uh, what was his name? Somebody came to meet Prabhupada, and he was very proud of himself to be a vegetarian. And he said, Prabhupada, I'm a vegetarian. And Prabhupada very casually said, so what? Even monkeys are vegetarian. What's so great about that? Right? So that's something to keep in mind. It's not just about offering the food, it's also about cooking it in that mindset. Right? So then that's something also to keep in mind. Right? And uh, see, somebody can ask you, oh, like I know I've heard this many times. Many people have come and told me, oh, this is all, yes, Julian, you had a question.
Prabhu, I was just I was thinking about this actually today. How would you explain this concept of vegetarianism is also a sin to someone who's like not into, or basically not like a devotee? So how would you explain that?
Um, how to
The
explain
concept of offering.
how to explain to non-devotees? Um,
Yeah.
well, first of thing, don't start with the word sin. That's one thing I would recommend you not to start with. It's a begin with more of empathy with them, right? So, uh, because for many people, the word sin is like, it's a moral condemnation, judgment kind of a thing. So don't start there. So you can start by saying that, hey, in Gita and the Vedic texts, the idea of sin is closer to, harm caused without any necessity or awareness. That's the main thing, right? You're causing harm without being aware that you're causing harm, right? So start with some principle like, oh, uh, I'm thinking about it.
I was just thinking more like not about sin, but
Yeah. So no, you can say it
sorry, go
this way,
ahead.
that even vegetarian food involves harm, right? Plants are living, there are insects that die during farming, the ecosystem is disturbed and whatnot. So Vedic tradition does not claim vegetarian is perfectly non-violent. That's the way you can start by telling them that will build some credibility. You're being honest, right? So the question is not that is there zero harm. The question is how much harm is unavoidable and how much is optional, right? So we cannot live without taking life, but we can live with gratitude, restraint, and responsibility. That's the heart of the idea, right? So with plants, we are minimizing harm. Yes, that's acknowledged, but that's not perfect because it's not.
Everything is okay. I think you want to eat.
Yeah. So when we take life unnecessarily or without gratitude or accountability, then that sin is a natural consequence. So not that God is angry, it's just that our actions shape our consciousness. So I'm just trying to give you some random thoughts. I've not fully thought it through. I can think it more and come back to you. But that vegetarianism is incomplete unless food is offered with gratitude to the divine. Because when you offer food, even though it's vegetarian, but that cultivates gratitude, it reduces ego, it acknowledges that lives were involved in this process, right? It's not just consumption, it's conscious participation, right? So it's so like, for example, if somebody gives you something valuable, the problem isn't just what you take, it's whether you acknowledge the giver or not, right? You have to acknowledge, right? If somebody comes and gives you a valuable gift, you just don't take it and move away with that. You say thank you to that person. So similarly, when even if it's vegetarian, when you're offering it, it's more of like a thank you. So that's the way I'm seeing it. I can think more and get back to you, but those were some thoughts from me. Did that help you in any way? I can think
Thank
more
you.
for sure.
Yeah,
I'll,
indeed.
I'll,
Thank you.
I'll think more and get back. But yes, you can bring about the concept of cooperation and developing gratitude and reducing ego by having that sense of reciprocation. That's one way you can think. Makes people more sensitive. Okay.
Prabhu, I had this discussion also with someone who was like a hardcore vegetarian, meat eater. So I told them like, if you believe in Newton's third law, forget about like believing in any dharma, but Newton's third law, then every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if you hurt someone, you're gonna get hurt sometime. That's the way the nature works. I don't know. That's
Yeah.
too harsh, or
That might be a bit too harsh, yes. Especially if the person is just a beginner and is not that mature. That might be a bit too hard, but yeah, it's fine. Okay.
Prabhuji, I have a question. I mean, in the temple, the prasadam is offered to the Lord, and then all the devotees eat. Devotees or whoever is the guest there eat. So, because it's a prasad, and person, even if the person does not believe, they eat. Will it purify them?
Uh, yes, it does purify them. It does purify them. It's not about prasadam purifies anybody who eats it, even though they are not believers or do not know its spiritual significance. However, to understand is that uh, depth of purification also depends on receptivity and continued association.
Mm-hmm.
So keep that in mind. So yes, for example, you eating it with that thought that it is Krishna Prasadam, this is not different from Krishna's mercy. So the power is, so it's giving you more devotion, right? So it will deepen your bhakti. But then if somebody else is eating it without that thought, it will purify him, but not to the extent that it's purifying you. So that's the way to understand it.
Okay.
It will soften their heart, reduce their material agitation to some extent, probably give them some spiritual credit. They'll have some sukriti. However, when a devotee eats it with that mindset, oh, this is Krishna's prasadam, Krishna is very merciful, that adds on much more to that person's consciousness.
Okay. Thank you.
13. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first. Oh, we read this already. 13. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Then I'm just going to read a couple of them because I think they're continuing. No, they're not continuing. Well, I think they're continuing. Let me see. Okay, I'll pause here because this is a separate section. I wanted to kind of talk more into detail about this concept of cycle that Krishna is talking about. I'll talk about it next week, but yeah, we can start it next week. This is verse number 14, so up to 13. Any thoughts or comments, anybody, before we end?